very nice to be here again. Today I'm going to be speaking about a very good question. Mother wrote me from Spain, and she has three babies, and she's in this process of falling in love with her yoga practice, and at the same time feeling she has too many balls to juggle in her hands, and she's asking me how to manage your yoga practice and your family. And this, in my lineage, in my tradition, we call it the 7th series. 7th series is the one that comes after the 6th series of Ashtanga, and it's like the culmination, the graduation. I don't know how to say it. It's very interesting that Patavi Joyce, he used to tell his students to go ahead and get married, because this is the yoga of the householders. This is not the yoga of the renunciates. And my teachers are householders. They are married, they have kids, they are in the world, they're teaching this practice, but they're not in a cave in the Himalayas, and we are not either. We are in this life, in this material life, and we are striving to put the practice in action in our own lives. So this is a wonderful question. What is the 7th series, and how can we prepare for the 7th series, and what is it? So 7th series, and I'm speaking from the point of view of a mother, obviously, is let's say the final test. That's how I would say it. Everything that we deconstruct through our asana practice brings like gives a residue. And this residue of practice for many, many years, for many, many days and mornings and weeks and months, and practice under the guidance of one teacher, practice without attachment to the results, which is very important in yoga. Is what we call abhyasa vairagyam. Is we do our practice every day, and we just release. Whatever needs to go goes, and whatever needs to come comes. And in releasing that control, I think we're truly preparing for the challenges of motherhood. Why? Because as women, these bodies become the channel for these new souls to arrive into this world, and it's actually very challenging. I can tell from my personal experience, it's not the same when you become a mother when you're in your 20s, when you're in your 30s, or when you're in your 40s. And I had all the experiences, and what can I say, that as the yoga started getting deeper into me, I understood more and more about this mysterious process of giving birth, giving life. And let's say that the toll it has on our bodies is obvious. And as yoginis, we are prepared, to hold this energy of a new being, and as much as possible, we want to be as aware and in tune with who we are, so we can really be a nurturing space for these souls. But also each soul has their own karma. So they come to us, and we have our own karmas, and we are doing the best we can with our conditions and with our awareness. And yet, we know that these souls have their own journey. So I think it's a wonderful and amazing opportunity for us as mothers to understand the path of detachment. Detachment of who we think these babies should be or should become. They are their own little person already. And I had a beautiful friend, and she used to say that kids are not like clay in your hands. No, they're already who they are. And as parents, we hold the space so they can really become who they are. And I see it from my kids, each one of them is absolutely unique and different, and they have the same mother and father, and yet each one of them already brought with them their own talents and also their own limitations, as we all do. So motherhood is the path of selfless service. That's all I can say. Selfless service, because you know we give our bodies for this baby to inhabit for 9 months, and then again we give our bodies so we can nurture these little things for some years, and then we give our time, we give our attention, we give our love, because it just becomes so natural. And the challenge there is to find a balance between our giving to others and also giving to ourselves. And that's what yoga practice is about. Yoga practice is about finding maybe even 5 minutes. When you have a newborn, you know, the newborn, you're around the clock with the newborn. So when the newborn is sleeping, that's the time you sleep. And maybe someone comes and then you take half an hour and you do a little stretch, you know, and like take your own like Surya Namaskar, maybe 1 or 2, and that's your practice for the day. Or maybe you sit and just chant or meditate, but that space is going to become your biggest ally. I had postpartum depression after my baby boy Theo, who today he's turning 10 years old. So 10 years away, I was in a very, very hard birth. We almost died, both of us, in the birth. And he had to be pulled out with forceps, and he came out, he was blue already, he was not breathing good. Thank God, you know, everything turned okay and he's totally fine. But my hip, it was torn, and you know, I had some issues with the anesthesia of the emergency, and like the thing is that he was born, and then for 6 months I was in total darkness. You know, I was absolutely down, I was crying daily. And I didn't even have like the will to do my yoga practice. It was a very challenging time. So this is also part of the 7 series. How did I come out of it? You know, with my yoga practice, because I refused to take any medicines. People around me were like, oh, you know, you should get psychiatric medicines. And no, I was not going to do that, because if I took the medicines, then I was going to give that medicines to my baby in the breast milk. So 6 months went by, were really challenging, and then motherhood brings this type of experiences, a birth that we were not waiting, a baby that is different from what we were expecting, and yet that's the practice of 7 series, is no attachments to any outcome, no attachments to any end result. It's just the path of unconditional love no matter what. So for me, this is the culmination of what a yoga practice is. A few years ago, I was with some colleagues. I think we were touring with Sherat, I don't know, someplace in Europe, and 2 of these amazing, beautiful ladies, practitioners, you know, they were approaching their 40s, and they needed to make the decision. Should I have a baby? Should I not have a baby? What to do? You know, my yoga practice, I have a really advanced yoga practice, but I really feel this call. And you know what I told them is just to be really like honest with themselves. If they want to have a baby to just like kind of cover something or achieve something from the external, don't do it. But if there's a deep calling in you, and just say, you know, I feel this presence around me. I remember I used to feel the souls of my babies before they actually incarnated in me. It was beautiful. It was like this, they're around, you know. And I used to say, yes, you know, use me, I'm here, you know, I love you unconditionally. But you cannot stop having babies because you don't want to lose your yoga practice. That would be a very stupid decision. And if you decide to have the baby, yes, you're going to lose your practice. Yeah, the practice completely gets trashed. With my 3 little babies, you know, I was starting my 3rd series, and this series completely died. And it's been, 12 years since that, and it took me a long time to recover. But I learned a lot, you know, because going back actually in yoga sometimes means moving forward in awareness and in appreciation and in gratitude. Motherhood also is going to ask you and me, both of us, for a lot of trust. Trust that there's a deeper love holding us all, and trust that kids have their own journey. And sometimes their journey is beyond our wildest ideas. Sometimes we don't even understand what they're doing. And that's what happened to us with our parents, you know. I remember my parents used to be so scared of me coming to India, and here I am, and now they understand, and now they even want to come visit me. But it's this change of generation that we need to hold with so much respect, because children come to us, but they are not clay in our hands. They are their own beings already. We hold them and we nourish them for a few years, but they are already who they are. Actually, they are amazing masters and teachers to learn from. If we don't try to dominate them and just know, you should be like this, you should do like that, you should study that. No, I told all of my children, I'm not going to tell you what religion you're going to be in, because I respect you too much for that. When you grow up, you will choose. I'm not going to tell you what to study, because you know what you love, and you are the best one to know how are you going to spend your years. So deep respect for these beings, deep love, and at the same time deep detachment. The famous Abhyasa Vairagyam, practice with detachment. We are their guardians, but we are not their owners. And that's a very, very hard concept to understand, especially for us mothers, since we had them in our bellies for 9 months, and then we nourished them so close, and then we feel these like, oh, and at the same time knowing that they have their own karmas, we have our own karmas, and of course there's this connection because somehow or another we were so close for so many years, and at the same time trusting there's like a bigger, deeper love holding us all. And for any women that has not had the opportunity or chose not to have children, doesn't mean anything. We all have our paths. It's not because we are doing the 7 series that we are better than anyone, or no, it's our karmas. So don't feel that like you're missing something. Maybe you want to explore this nurturing in your creativity, in your projects, in your plans, in your teaching, I don't know. But don't feel like you've lost something. Someone told me that I was a man in all my previous lifetimes, and that's why I came to this life, and I had this deep yearning for motherhood. But some women are not meant to be mothers, and that's perfectly fine. So yeah, 7 series is the culminations, like the Everest of our practice. Interesting, because this unconditional giving is gonna help us somehow understand what yoga is about. Yoga is about finding space for yourself so you can be better use for others. You can be someone that adds, not someone that subtracts in life. And this sacred space of our practice is going to be with us through the pregnancy, after the birth, through the childhood years, and the school stuff, high school, and everything that comes after. And that's our haven, that's our oasis as mothers, eventually as grandmothers. We are holding a space for our kids. Even if we are not close to them, we are always close to them, because there's this deep blood connection between us. And holding them, I hold all my children in my practice every day when I do my mantra. And I also hold all the future generations. And I also hold all the previous generations. Because when someone comes to this practice, we are meant to break a lot of chains that were in the lineage, especially in us, in the women's lineage. So much pain that is in our DNA that comes from our mothers and grandmothers. And we don't want to give that to the next generation. So a yoga practice is actually taking responsibility for looking at our stuff and at putting it out in our children or in our partner, and actually becoming beings that are responsibly walking the earth. And hopefully our children will check us out, because kids usually watch what the parent is doing, not what they say. And they're very smart, especially these generations. They are incredibly creative and smart. So thank you all for your questions. Thank you. I really enjoy reading them all. And to all the Ashtanga women, namaste. 7 series.